Ladies and gentlemen, this is Internet Personality Vangelus, and I'm taking a look at NECA's 24-inch head-to-tail legendary Godzilla, a companion piece of sorts to their 12-inch head-to-tail Godzilla that I looked at some time ago. And just as the 12-inch head-to-tail Godzilla was really just over 6 inches tall, the 24-inch head-to-tail Godzilla is really just over 12 inches tall. Those product names are straight-up antagonizing, and goddamn do I wish they were just called the short one and the large one. Big Zilla's sculpt is pretty damn textured, though a lot of that texturing is a bit softer than I'd hoped. He's certainly a big fella, but there is a noticeable degree of blown-uppedness to his sculpt that makes me glance at the smaller version and wonder if they share some base digital design work. On the upside, the paint is a lot more lively on the large version, with more variance of hue and layering on of aqua greens over the darker and browner base colors. The eyes also look great on this guy, which makes the inexplicable splotches of pink on his eyebrows all the more sad to see. Like, somehow some paint from inside his mouth got up there, I guess? Or is the whole head cast in tongue flesh pink and then painted green? I don't know, man. But even knowing that this is in double scale to the 6-inch original, Big Godzilla has a lot more beef to him than I would have thought. Like thickness, volume, mass, musculature. And I think his head sculpt has received a small but helpful additional bulge on the top that deals with the problem I had on the small version, whose cranium felt a little squished and flattened down to me. Alright, so there's a battery blocker plastic tab down here. There are some suspicious panel lines. There's a thing saying something about China. What's it all mean? Well, would you believe me if I told you there's a button on this tail? NECA did a pretty good job camouflaging it, but one of these spines is also a nicely springy switch for getting Godzilla to go like... You know, kinda like... The volume on the clip is so much louder in person than I was expecting, and keeping the whole gimmick contained within a tail segment keeps it out of the way, too. Really well done. This guy's posability is a whole lot like the small Godzilla's posability, so there are very few surprises, but there's a big surprise. Anyway, the head works more or less the same. There's a ball socket connection here with a fairly decent amount of range in a fairly decent ovulation of axis of movement. The mouth goes like, ha. He's got another ball socket joint here around his neck cuff. This is mostly for looking left and right. I can get almost no actual ball socket movement out of it. It's basically a swivel joint. So this is a ball joint in movement. This is a swivel joint in movement. His mid-torso joint. This is all right for something this big. I think this is a nice amount of wobble you can get going. Like, there's a little bit left, there's a little bit right, forwards and backwards, and you can also use it as a swivel for the waist if you don't mind busting up the sculpt. The arms are pretty much like the small one. There is a little bit of outward range on the ball socket connections for the shoulders, just a bit, but like on the small one, I really like how this works, because there's a lot of sculpting coverage in here, but the range is not messed with too much. I think it comes off pretty well. The bicep swivel on this guy is just at the top of the elbow hinge connection. The elbows have got a little bit of detenting going on in this version. I can't remember if they did in the small one. Let me check. Do you detent? No, you don't. Alright, so this big one adds a bit of detenting, probably for the size. So you can go from being this straight to 1, 2, 3, roundabouts 3.5, 3 clicks to go to a 90-degree bend. It's a ball joint wrist connection with just a little bit of wiggle in the circular axes. And moving down to the hips, on the small one, it looks very similar, but I'm able to get like just a tad of wiggle inwards here and outwards, which I thought was really cool. On this big one, that ain't as easy to do. You can kind of get it going. It resists a lot, and that's actually better than I was expecting. I've never been able to get it to do that until I really just let loose and yanked on it here in the video. I was gonna say this is basically a V-crotch, but you know what, I'm wrong. This is actually working a bit like the small one. It's just way harder to use. So I stand corrected right here on video. I won't edit it out. That's 'cause something... honesty and reporting on toys. The knees have got a swivel right above the knee joint, which is basically the thigh swivel, and then a little bit of hinging. They can go from straight to just shy of 90 degrees. However, this one, well, let's find out. I have a thing I was going to say about these. We'll see if I just put some force into it. I don't know. I don't think that these ankles ball joint as well as on the small one. The small one couldn't really ball joint his ankles in the first place all that well, but there was just enough going on that I felt like I could get a little bit of tilt, mostly outwards, honestly, but just a touch. On this guy, I don't know if it's really all that meaningful, the amount of motion I'm getting out of him. Once again, like, it's a ball socket connection, but there's a lot of sculpt in the way, and I don't know if I would call this a great ball jointed ankle. But let's get to the real crowning achievement here. Let me spin this guy around so we can take a look at his butt, because this Godzilla's butt is where it's at. So the electronics block is this block right here. It's ball jointed into here with minor amounts of wiggle room. Whoops. And I hit the button. Thanks, buddy. This is the electronics block. It's ball socket connected onto there, and then in the package, that's it. There's a whole song and dance using hair dryers and stuff. It is recommended to attach the rest of this tail from this point onwards. And after going through all the trouble and all the hoo-ha, hair dryers and all that, I still find this is not too hard to pop off and then pop back on. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'm doing something weird, or maybe I'm just a savant with this stuff, but this is another ball socket connection. The range on here is a bit better, but it also tends to lose its grip on the ball socket joint. And I've tried, like, a lot of different things, trying to push it on a bit harder, a bit tighter. I think I've got it all the way in, and I like having the extra range. It just does have a propensity to fall out now and then. So there's one. Here's the next one. Another ball socket connection. And here's where things get, in my opinion, pretty freaking cool. Because here we've got another segmentation. Then here, another segmentation right there. Here, another segmentation. And here, another segmentation. Down here, we've got more segmentations. Every 2 plates, another segmentation. I'm already going off camera entirely. Let's swivel this around and get this up. I want to show you this tail is stuffed with the ball socket joints on a near Monster Arts level. And I think it's really damn cool how it works. There's no bendy wires in here, none of that business, just joints, and they hold pretty well. Like, I don't get a whole lot of droop out of these, so I really like this tail. This is, along with the electronic feature, the best part of the toy. Unfortunately, I think the tail is so cool, it kind of makes the rest of the toy look a little bricky in comparison. I wish this kind of segmentation had been done to a higher degree on the limb joints, but hey, whatever. This guy's posability, it's not amazing. Like the small one, it's a whole lot better than I was expecting. Well, at least in terms of looking at him at first online. I got the small one first. Messing with the small one actually set me up, I think, for a little disappointment, because I was hoping more stuff would get stuffed into this guy. And it did, but it all got stuffed in back over there where his tail is. Everything else up here is a lot more like replicating the small version. So he's not amazingly posable. I think that his ankles are a little bit less posable than the small one. You know, if that even matters to you. The small one didn't have a ton of range in the first place. But the tail's super well done, and I hope to see something like that on, I don't know, something with a more posable body as well. Anyway, that's Big Godzilla and how he poses, him being 24 inches head to tail, and etc, etc. It's really nice to be able to... Whoa, here we go. So I'm bending his tail, right? I'm trying to bend it around to the front, and there, it just comes right off. And then I'm supposed to use hair dryers or something, but I find I can just push it back on, and it's fine. I don't know if maybe, like, when I first used the hair dryer, I ended up stretching the hole open when I jammed it in there. But, I don't know. This Godzilla, he's got a bit of a loose butt. How could you? At around $60-ish, give or take, NECA's foot tall but 2 feet from head to tail if the tail's outstretched Godzilla has his ups and downs, but feels like a respectable value all things considered. I'd hoped that being this much bigger, the main body would have more room for extra posability over the small version, and it doesn't really, but the tail is pretty damn glorious in comparison to the 6-inch Zilla's bendy wire deal. It makes me think Monster Arts, and that is not a bad thing. The sculpt and paintwork isn't as clean and crisp as I'd like at this scale, but the texture's pleasant and the sound gimmick is aces. This certainly isn't a high-end piece, but damn am I glad that NECA's larger-scale Godzilla didn't get trapped in the heights of their 18-inch price point, because he'd have suffocated up there. Around 60 bucks is about as high as I'd want to go on a big plastic lizard like this, so if you're a person who wants a legitimate armful of legendary Godzilla in their life, give it a glance. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I remain a Monster Arts virgin as of this recording, though I won't lie. I did touch another man's legendary Monster Arts Zilla in New York, and it felt good.